Okay, all right. So let's get started. Bringing career guidance into the classroom. I'm the field trainer for MyCareerShines. My name is Paula Crutchley. So today we're going to go over all the features and benefits of MyCareerShines. We're going to go live into the system, and I'm always going to ask you what next, how can I support you as your regional trainer? We have helped over 165 million people worldwide visualize a plan for themselves. This is the gentleman that started the company. His name was Dr. Frederick Cuda, and he was known as the father of reliability. And the reason why he was known as the father of reliability, when the GIs came back from the last World War, he was commissioned by the War Department to find incoming GIs new careers. And what he's famous for saying is find out people's passion, what's inside their hearts, and then teach them the skills to be successful. I love that quote. Find out people's passion, what's inside their hearts, and then teach them the skills to be successful. I only wish that I had heard that quote when I got out of high school, because when I got out of high school, my parents didn't talk to me about education, further education, or what I wanted to do. I was expected to graduate high school and get a job. And I can tell you, I took some miserable jobs. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because I don't want anyone to have a job that they dread going into every morning. When I'm in the classroom, I tell the students about some of the miserable jobs that I've had. All right, this is our faculty staff. They work on the integrity of the assessments. They update the assessments. We just did an update about last summer. We've had 23 million assessments taken. We've been around for about 80 years. And of course, as I just said, we update all the time. We've done lots of studies. One of the studies I particularly like is a study that we did in Texas that showed that those students that completed over 90% of MyCareerShines were more likely to go on to post-secondary education. And another study that we did said that 60% of the users never change their majors. And you as high school faculty members, you know, you always want to stress to your students, when you get into college, know what you want to do when you get into college, because if you go in undeclared, as we all know, if students go in undeclared, they end up floating around college, and college is so expensive. And like we said to our children, you get in and out in 4 years, not 4 years and 1 day, because the money stops after 4 years. All right, in high school, students have 3 assessments. We have a Cuda Career Interest Assessment, a Cuda Skills Confidence Assessment, and a Donald Super Work Values Assessment. When I'm in the classroom, I always tell this, when you say assessments, and you know your students better than I do, when you say assessments, you always get that rolly eyeball. And I always tell the students, it's very much like a game survey. It's going to ask the students what level, it's going to ask the students a question. And all the students need to do is click on the button that applies to their answer. So the interest and the confidence assessment were developed by John Holland. He was an industrial psychologist. And he said, you want to choose a career that's in line with who you are. And if you choose a career that is in line with who you are, you will be happier in your work life. Donald Super did our work values, and our work values change over time. And when my children were little, I had a set of work values. When my children were teenagers, trust me, my work values were very, very different. Now my children are grown, my work values are different again. We have put minutes on the assessment times, and I always tell the teachers that it takes about 8 to 13 minutes to finish an assessment. And the assessments are, the students are different. So some students may take all 13 minutes, some students may finish in 9. So the proven process is the students are going to take the assessments. They're going to begin to explore occupations and majors. The students will then plan for education, plan for work, and they can even find a job right in MyCareerShines. Now, once the students have taken the assessment, MyCareerShines will then present those students with occupations that will be a good fit for them based on their assessment answers. And I'm going to share that with you in a moment. In high school, the students will be working in MyCareerShines Navigator. Now, I am going to show you, first, I'm going to show you how your students will create their accounts. And then I'm going to share with you how you, as a faculty member, will create your sample account. So let me say that again, particularly for the people that are on the webinar this morning that have never heard of MyCareerShines. This morning, right now, I'm going to share with you two areas of creating an account. I'm going to share with you how you're going to guide your students to create their account. And then I'm going to show you how to create a sample student account. And that sample student account will be exactly the same as your students, except one thing. Your students are going to put themselves in the school that they attend. Now, because you do not attend a school, I put all the teachers in and counselors in my pretend school. Okay, so let me share with you how to do that. All right. How do you and your students find our site? Let me share with you. The students will go to mycareershines.cuda.com. So this is a URL, mycareershines.cuda.com. And let me show you the students. Your students will go to create an account. Please note that we are in English and Spanish. I am a middle and high school student. Next step. All right, let me do this. So I was playing around this morning. All right, mycareershines.cuda.com, create an account. I am a middle or a high school student. Next step. And then it's going to ask your students to complete 4 steps. Your students will say, I'm in 10th grade. My graduation year is 23. And then it's going to ask your students, all right, if you're going to graduate in 2023, what public school do you go to? What school district? Excuse me, what district? I'm going to say I go to Lee County Public School. And then it's going to ask the students, all right, if you go to Lee County Public School, what school do you attend? Which school do you attend? And I'm going to say, I attend Coronado High School. So there's, on this page, there's grade, graduation year, what school district, what school. And then it's going to ask the students to click next step. Step 2 is going to ask the students to put their first name, their last name, their zip code, date of birth. Now, I want to point out that the date of birth is 2 numbers / 2 numbers / 4 numbers. If a student gets to next step and it won't move forward, it is typically what the student has put 2 numbers / 2 numbers / 2 numbers. All right, now, when the student has completed step 2, they will go on to step 3. Step 3 will ask the student to create a unique username and password. I always tell my students to use their student ID for their a variation of their student ID for their username and the same variation for their password. And that way your students will never, ever forget their username and password. And then they'll get to step 4. It'll ask them to identify their race, ethnicity, and then they'll click sign me up. All right, so I'm just going to say that just quickly. Your students are going to click on, type in mycareershines.cuda.com. create an account. I'm a middle or high school student, and there are 4 steps. Any questions on how your students will create an account? I'm going to pause for a minute to see if there are any questions on how your students will create their account. Okay, so if there are no questions, let's move on to how you will create a sample student account. Okay, all right, now the URL is the same. You're going to click on create an account, and you're going to pretend that you are a student. I'm a middle or high school student. You're not going to click on administrator or educator because, again, this is your sample student account. Next step. Now, step 1, the first thing that you're going to do is click I have an activation code. And what you will see, once you click I have an activation code, it takes away the opportunity for you to be placed in Lee County Public School or in any school. So you're going to put the grade that you teach, the graduation year, and then let me give you a one-time code. And the code is N396423-9JGH. Let me say that again. N396423-9JGH. And then I popped it into the chat, and then you will click next step. And when you click next step, everything is the same as the students. Now, I do not recommend that you put your real age. You can if you like. All right, so I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes for those people that are creating their accounts. If you already have an account, you're going to log in to your account. For those people that are creating an account right now, the next time you go back into your account, you will click on login, and you will put your unique username and password. Hi, Sandra.
Yeah, can you briefly go through those steps again?
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Lori. I saw that. Okay, now, as a teacher, you're going to want to create a sample account so that when you're working with your students, you can show your sample account on the screen and it's identical to your students. The only difference is what school you're in. So let's create our sample account. You're going to go to MyCareerShines.Cuda.com again. Popped it into the chat. And then you'll see the 4 students. You're going to click on create an account. I am a high school student. Next step. There are 4 steps, but let's talk about step 1. Now, you will notice that it has an area that says what public school or homeschool do you go to? If you click, I have an activation code, you will see that the opportunity to put yourself in any school district or any high school is gone. The only area that you have is grade level, graduation year, and now let me give you the activation code. You will never use this activation code again. I'm going to put it on the screen. Please do not share. Oops, sorry. Please do not. Oops, sorry. All right, there's the activation code. Please do not share this activation code with any of your students. Once you click next step, everything will be identical to your students. First name, what's your last name? What's your zip code? Sandra, did you have another question? I'm not sure if that's. Sandra?
No, I'm good.
All right, good. Okay, so please go ahead and complete all 4 steps. Step 3 will ask you to create a unique username and password. And the only reason that we ask for an email or a phone number is if you get locked out or your students get locked out, we can always reset. So let me log into my account. Are there any questions on how your students create an account, how you create an account? I'm going to give you just a few more minutes. All right. You know you're in the right spot when you see welcome to MyCareerShines. Now, when I sent out the webinar information, I put in a link with some resources for you. One of the resources is a quick guide, excuse me, and it gives you step-by-step instructions on how you can work through MyCareerShines, very similar to the tabs on the left-hand side. You will, you could write down that username and password on that guide. If for some reason you didn't find, if you don't find the guide, you can always reach out to me. I'll give you my contact information in a moment. All right, so once again, this is our dashboard. You know you're in the right spot when you see welcome to MyCareerShine. The first thing I always tell my students is hover over the photo. And in the lower grades, they can choose an avatar if they like. But in the upper grades, I always say you can upload a professional photo. Autumn. I can talk about the school's organizational code and password, but are you trying to, let me ask Autumn, because I know what's happened. Autumn? Autumn?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yes.
are you creating your sample student account?
I was actually creating my personal account.
Okay, so what we're doing right now is we are creating sample student accounts for you as a teacher.
Okay.
So how do you create, were you on the webinar earlier when I went through how do students create an account?
Yes, and I was
Okay.
following along. However, it is requesting my personal email address. Should I put that for the sample student
No.
account?
No, let me go back because I know what's happened. And bear with me, everyone. Let me go back. All right. So Autumn, what you want to do is create a sample student account. So you're going to go to create an account. I am a middle or high school student, not an administrator, because this account that you are creating is your sample student account, not your administrative account. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So now you're going to go to I'm a high school student, next step, and then you will see exactly what I see.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
What?
Oh, sorry. Autumn, sorry, I clicked you on
Oh,
mute.
I'm sorry. For contact information for the sample student page, should we put our real information there?
Yeah, you put your school email. The only thing that I would not put the real information is my date of birth. And I'll share with you in a minute why. Because you don't want your students to see your date of birth.
Thank you very much.
But you put your school email, because the only reason we ask for that information is if you get locked out and you can reset.
Thank you.
All right. And I will stay on the line after the webinar if anyone has additional questions. I don't have another webinar this morning. So if anybody has a question, I can stay on the line. And for those people that are new to MyCareerShines, I understand that this is going to be fast. But this is not the last time you're going to see me. And I can do another webinar with you if you want to. Just give me a ring and we can set up a quick tutorial, whatever you need. We've got lots of resources for you in that link that I sent you with the webinar information. All right, so let me do this. Let me go back into my account. Oh, Laurie, thanks a lot. Okay, so again, this is our dashboard. This is what we call our dashboard. The first thing you're going to do is the students can upload a professional photo, or they can choose an avatar if they're in the lower grades. Top right-hand side, we can switch from English to Spanish if Spanish is your primary language, and we have Google Translate. I'm learning Spanish, but I'm not anywhere near that now to teach this in to teach this webinar in Spanish. All right, top right-hand side where it says welcome with your name. At the end of the session, this is where your students are going to log out. But what I want to share with you right now is click on account settings. Account settings. And this is very much like a cell phone, tells the student all about themselves. Here is the date of birth, and that's the reason why I told you not to put the real date of birth. If you scroll down, if you need to make a change, the students can update the information. Now, here, there are two ways that students can change the grade. They can change the grade here, or they can change the grade here by clicking on the pencil. When your students have finished high school, they can go back into their account go to the grade change, click, are you done with high school? And they will say, yes, I am. Thank you very much. They can make a quick phone call to this 877 number, which is our corporate office, and they will tell the person that answers the phone what they plan to do. So they can say, well, I'm going to go to Barry University. The person that answers the phone will give them a J code. And that J code will, once they hit the upgrade, will move the student's account from Navigator over to Journey. Cuda Journey is for college students and adults. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to share with you the parent account. Click on the pencil, pop-up box. This area allows students to invite their parent, guardian, or mentor to create a parent, guardian, or mentor account that is attached to that student's account, so that that person can create an account that is attached to their child's account, and they can see what the students are doing within their MyCareerShines, and they can begin to start that conversation about careers, about further education. All the student needs to do is put the first name, last name, email address, or phone number. Once they click on that send code, that parent, guardian, or mentor will receive an email or a text message with instructions on how to create a parent account. I'm going to go over to the far right-hand side, and you can see that taskbar. Anytime a student completes a task, they can click on the taskbar. I'm going to scroll down. Historical tasks, students can see what they've done in the previous years. And they can click on the future tasks and see what they'll take a sneak peek in what they will be doing in the upcoming grades. I'm going to hover over to the left-hand side, and I'm going to click on, I'm going to share this link area now. So we have the student account, we have the faculty sample account or student sample account. Now let me say that again. We have the student account, we have your sample account, but there is also another element, and it's called the admin side. And each school has an admin side to their particular school. And that admin side stores the data for your school, okay? Now, there is a primary administrator for each school. It's typically the counselor. So that primary administrator can give access to the school's admin side to any of the teachers, all right? Now, the reason I share that now is because the admin can put links. The admin can put various links so that their students, once they log into their MyCareerShines account, they can see the link. So let me share with you. If you're having a career day, you could put the link to the career day. If you've got a particular scholarship that's come through for your school, you can put a link to that scholarship. If you are having a parent night or a college night, you can put the link to that information right here. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the admin side. All right, so let's get started. You are going to see the Cuda Career Interest Assessment and the Confidence Assessment right here. I'm just talking about these. And when I'm working with the students, this is how I explain the Cuda Career Interest and the Confidence. The length of the line indicates the strength of the interest and the confidence. And the length of the line indicates the strength of the interest and the confidence. If both lines are very similar, if a student selects any one of these occupation, they will have high satisfaction in any one of those occupations. Now, if you have a student who has high interest but low confidence, that student can always build up the confidence by taking a class, finding a mentor, doing an internship. And then the last thing I always point out to my students, if you have a student who has a lot of different colors, It simply means that that student is interested in a lot of different things. Now, when a student gets to the upper grades, it's very difficult for them to find interest in something that they're not interested in, okay? All right, let me say that again. The length of the line indicates the strength of the interest. Lines that are similar, like mine, tell the students that if they choose any one of these occupations, they will have high satisfaction. If you have a student who has high interest, low confidence, they can always build up those skills. If you have a student who has a lot of different colors, it just tells the student that they are interested in a lot of different things, okay? All right. So the first thing we're going to do right now is we're going to click on the left-hand side, take an assessment. Take an assessment. Left-hand side, take an assessment. You're going to see the word begin. Begin. Click on that word, the box that says begin. Once you click on that box, a drop-down button will appear. It's going to ask you what level of education you want to acquire. You want to tell the students to choose bachelor's. So go ahead and choose bachelor's. And the reason that we ask the students to choose bachelor's is because the system works best when the students choose bachelor's. Now, if the student chooses bachelor's degree, the system will present them with occupations that don't need a degree all the way to a bachelor's degree. Now, just to give you a little tip here, if you have a student who looks into their account to see what occupations there are, and you say, and the student says, well, Miss Crutchley, there are no occupations presented to me, you will know that that student probably chose PhD. How do you change that? You go up to the top, go to account settings, and let me share with you. Here, when it says education goal, if you click on the pencil, you can change the account from doctorate to bachelor's degree and update. So let me share that again. The first thing you're going to do right now is take an assessment. You're going to take the Cuda Career Interest Assessment. You will see a box that says begin. Click on the word that says begin, or the box that says begin. Drop down button will appear. It's going to ask you what level of education. Please choose bachelor's degree. Now, you're going to read the sentence, and all you need to do is click on the box that applies to the answer. I always tell my students to please choose neutral as little as possible. You want to have an opinion. Okay, so any question on the assessment? So go ahead and take that Cuda Career Interest Assessment. And I'm going to be quiet for just a few minutes and allow you to take the Cuda Career Interest Assessment. If there are any questions, just pop them into the chat. Okay, so when you finish that first assessment, you're going to go to the left-hand side and you're going to click on Take an Assessment. And now we're going to take the Cuda Skills Confidence Assessment. Now, please read the instructions for the Cuda Skills Confidence Assessment because the instructions are a tidbit bit different and there are less questions. So again, left-hand side, take an assessment. And this time you're going to take the Cuda Skills Confidence Assessment. Please read the instructions because they are a tidbit bit different and there are less questions. Any questions for me? Okay, I just want to see where everybody is. If you have completed both assessments, can you just type 2 in the chat so that I know where everybody is and if we can move on or if we need a few more minutes? Thanks, Andrew. There is no rush. Thanks, Lisa. So again, if you have completed both assessments, please type the number 2. I think I might have said letter, the number 2 in the chat. Thanks, Sandra. All right, so we'll just go about 4 more minutes and then we'll move on. So if you're working on the assessments, if you have finished both assessments, please type the number 2 in the chat so I can see where everybody is. Thanks, Renee. Thanks, Catherine. Okay, let's do this. If you're in the middle of an assessment, scroll to the bottom. Thanks, Autumn. If you're in the middle of an assessment, scroll to the bottom and click Finish Later. Please note that if you're in the middle of assessments with students and maybe you have a scheduled fire drill and you have to go outside, you can always have the students scroll to the bottom, click on Finish Later, and then when they come back after the scheduled fire drill, they will begin the assessments exactly where they left off. So they're never going to lose the information. They'll just begin the assessments exactly where they left off. All right. So now we're going to click on that home button on the left-hand side. And then you can take the Donald Super Work Values Assessment when you get a few minutes. So the first thing that we will want to know, or the students will want to know, hey, Miss Crutchley, what do the colors mean? So the first place you're going to go to explore occupations, left-hand side, explore occupations. Explorar ocupaciones. Told you I was learning Spanish. That's about all I know. All right, we're going to go to occupations suggested by the National Career Clusters and Pathways. You'll see a video with some blue words. Click on the blue words. All right. So here you will see our 6 career fields, 16 clusters, and 79 pathways. So if your primary colors are pink, maybe the students begin to explore manufacturing, transportation, anything in the science, mathematics, architecture, and construction. Blue would be business, so that's your marketing, finance, hospitality, business administration. Purple is going to be your human services, psychologist, caseworker, therapist, police officer, FBI, CIA, lawyer, government, and education. So I imagine that you have a lot of purple. Yellow is going to be your communications, that's your creatives, that's your photographer, your dancer, and information technology. Red is medical, and green is agricultural and environmental. Now, if you remember, I had blue and purple. So my background is I have an undergrad in business, I have a master's in business, and I've taught business courses at college and university. So that's why I have blue and purple. We're going to X out. And then here, you'll see the clusters and pathways. So if I click on any one of those, it gives me the national cluster right here. But within the cluster, there are 79 pathways in these clusters and pathways. Anytime you're in MyCareerShines and you see a gray star, if you like something, you can click on the star, change that star from gray to yellow, and that's what we call favorite. Okay. So now we're going to go back to explore occupations. Occupations suggested by your assessment results. Now, your results are going to be very different than mine. How did we get there? Explore occupations. The first drop down says occupations suggested by your assessment result. Here are the stars. So anytime you see something you like, you can click on the star and make it yellow. I'd like you to favorite the top 3. It doesn't matter. We're just practicing. Now you may see some symbols. So let's click on the key, the big blue button that says key. Anytime you see a sun, it means National Bright Outlook jobs are trending up. Anytime you see a green leaf, green economy jobs are trending up. Anytime you see an upward arrow, it's a high demand in the state of Florida. It's important that your students begin to think about occupations that are trending up versus occupations that are trending down. Because the colleges don't tell the students whether this degree is a viable degree when it comes to looking for a job. My girlfriend's son graduated with a geology degree about 2.5 years ago in California. That young man is still struggling to find geology work. And his dad has been a geologist for 40 years and he still can't find work. All right, so what I'd like you to do is open up any one of the occupations, just click on it. And here you'll see a quick overview, a quick snapshot of that occupation. I chose compensation and benefits manager. Students can print the occupation details. Over 90% of our occupations have a 1 to 2 minute video. If you click on tasks and conditions, it tells the student all about that occupation. If you go to education, it tells the student what education they will need to be successful in attaining this job. But what I want to point out is salary. Salary. Students can look at hourly and yearly, because the students always want to know, how much money am I going to make, Miss Crutchley? They can see the median income statewide and nationwide. But what's most important is this workforce region. All right. So we updated this data back in last Thanksgiving, and we receive our information from the Department of Labor. If I click on workforce region, if you find 24, which is Lee, Collier, and Hendry, I live in Miami, so I'm going to pick 23. And here you can see the outlook of what percentage of increase over the next couple of years. So I can see at a glance, if I want to be a compensation and benefits manager in Miami in the next couple of years, it's going to go up 13%. Statewide, it's going to go up 14%. Excuse me. Miami is going to go up 13%. Statewide, it's going to go up 14%, but nationwide, it's only going to go up 2%. So what this data is telling me are the jobs are going to be in Florida. Now, if I moved up to Lee, Collier, and Hendry, it changes from 13% to a 14% increase. All right, now I'm going to stay in exploration, explore occupations. And I'm going to go to occupations by title. What if you have a student that says, hey, Miss Crutchley, I don't like any of those jobs. I want to be an FBI agent. So I'm going to choose FBI. I'm going to search. And I can see one result. And I can begin that exploration. But I want to point this out to you. If I go straight to salary, I'm going to go straight to Miami. If I want to be an FBI agent in Miami in the next couple of years, it's going to be a -2. Now, I would never tell my students that they cannot be an FBI agent. What I will tell my student is you're going to have to move. If I move that student from Miami to Palm Beach, it changes from a -2 to a +7. Now, what if you have a student who says, Ms. Crutchley, I like this job, but I'm not 100% sold on it. I'd like to do something similar. So you can go to related occupations, and begin to explore. So I can say, oh, a fire inspector and an investigator. And here I can begin looking at that occupation. All right. I'm going to go to majors, explore majors. I'm going to click on majors by title. And I'm going to choose business. I'm going to click on the search. And here it will present occupations that might be a good fit with that major. Accounting, excuse me, this is going to show me the majors that would be a good fit for me if I'm interested in business. Here's a quick overview of that major. I can read that and say, oh, that looks good. I can look at schools within Florida that are offering that major. So there are 6 schools, but what if I said, you know, I think I want to go to Alaska, and I can see the schools that offer that particular degree. I'm going to move to plan for education. Plan for education. I'm going to stay in plan for education for a few minutes. Options after high school. It allows the students to see their options after high school. I didn't know I had options, as I mentioned earlier. Ooh, military. Never thought about going in the military. I can look and I can see the different pathways. I'm looking at operations. And then I can see, oh, look at this, international relations officer. I love to travel. That would be a very good fit for me. I'm going to go back to the left-hand side, plan for education. Education needed for my favorite occupations. Oh, training and development specialist. Here, I have 2 pieces of paper and a pop-up box. And you may have some students say, well, Miss Crutchley, I want to be a scientist, but I really don't want to go to college. Well, here it allows the students to see what percentage of people work in that particular field with the different qualifications or education. So I can see training and development special is only 13% people that have a high school diploma or less. So that gives you it gives the students a good idea of what kind of education, what the chances are of them getting into a particular occupation with the education that they are thinking in their mind. It's almost like a reality check for them. All right, finding a school. We have 337 schools. Where am I? Plan for education. I'm going to stay in there for a few minutes. We have 337 schools. That's a lot of schools. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a filter. And if you just watch my screen and maybe write this down, I'm going to put my zip code. And then I always start with 50 miles. And that's the distance that the students will have to travel to get to a school. I'm going to choose construction because not every student is going to go to a 4-year college. So I'm going to say, I want to be an electrician. And I put my zip code and I'm going to apply the filter. And I can see that there are 5 schools close to my house that offer that certificate. But now I'm going to go back to filter again. What if I said I want to be an engineer? And I'm thinking about a chemical engineer. So what did I do? I put the filter, zip distance, choose your field of study, choose your major, apply the filter. I can see that there are no schools within 50 miles of where I live that offer that degree. Now, I always tell my students to go up 50-mile increments, but I've done this before. So I'm going to go up to 400 because I know that I'm going to have to go 400 miles. I have 3 schools within 400 miles of where I live. So I'm going to look at the Florida Institute of Technology. Tells me all about the general information about the school. I can even apply right here. Tells me the majors that the school offers. So I can see at a glance that this school is predominantly an engineering and a business school. I probably wouldn't go to this school to get a degree in education. Excuse me. If the school has given us the application fee, it'll be right there. But most importantly, look at the cost. So if I want to go to this, if I want to go to this Florida Institute of Technology, it's $41,000 for 1 year. I always tell my students that's without a slice of toast. That's without gasoline. That's without 1 book. And then here, the students can begin to explore the additional costs of going to college. Preparing for the college exams, students can take some practice ACTs and SATs. I'm staying in plan for education. Students can begin to learn about financial aid. And we have scholarships. We have 539 scholarships. Students can go through all the scholarships, or they can do a filter, and they can filter many different ways. But I do want to point out a scholarship that I think is very, very easy for the students. And I did a scholarship session for your district earlier this week. Excuse me. And I'm doing another one. I've been asked to do another scholarship hour for your students on November 18th. And Kelly will have that information, and she posts it on the school. I'm not quite sure where she posts it, but if anyone is interested in finding out more about that, they can reach out to Kelly Thorley, Thawley. She works with the district. But let me keep on going. College Jumpstart Scholarship, and you can also favorite the schools and the scholarships. This is a really easy scholarship, and it's due in October. And there was one more that I wanted to share. It's called the Cameron Foundation, and that you can share with your students. And that's due, I think that might be due today. Cameron Impact Scholarship. Let me just see. I think it was due today. Where did I see that? I was looking for, noon today. All right. Okay. So again, students can filter and search and narrow down that 539 schools in many different ways. Finance 101, students can begin to explore financial literacy. Plan for work. If you have students that are thinking about getting a fall job, we have videos that they can watch. Prep up on their interview skills, questions to ask. Excuse me, just a moment. I'm not sure what's going on. All right. and then finding a job opening. Just means I need another cup of tea. National job search. If I click on Florida, I will be presented with USA Jobs and Employ Florida. I do want to point out the graduation plan, student grad plan. We came up with we developed the student grad plan about a year and a half ago. You will not see this. The students will not see the grad plan. It's turned on by the individual school. So if your grad plan is not turned on for your students, you can talk to your counselor and have your counselor give me a call, and I'll walk them through the admin side on how to turn on the grad plan at your individual school. Now, the reason we developed the grad plan area was because students didn't know how far they were progressing. So once the grad plan is turned on, the students will be presented with these white cards. Once they complete the different tasks, the students will, the cards will turn from white to green. And you can add in different tasks. You can customize the student grad plan. You can call the grad plan if your mascot is the elephants, the sharks, the tigers, you can choose the tigers graduation plan or the elephants graduation plan. Left-hand side, my assessments. Students can take the assessment as many times as they like. They're not going to lose the assessments. They can print a one-page summary and take this one-page summary to meet with their counselor if you're having a parent-teacher night, or if the students are having a one-on-one with you. Left-hand side, my job search tools, my resume, my cover letter, and my references. Students can create their resume, their cover letter, and their references. Let me open up resume for you. But before the student completes the resume or begins the resume, have them go to the very bottom and they'll see some resume help. Here, the students will receive some tips and tricks on how to create a successful resume. Then when they're ready, they'll go back to my resume, click on create a resume, and fill in the blanks. Students can do a functional resume. If they've never had a job, if they've had a job, they'll do a chronological. They can have their resume in professional, basic style, and then they just fill in the blanks. Same thing with my cover letter. If a student doesn't know what goes in a cover letter, we've got some samples for those students. Left-hand side, my references. Always tell the students if they're doing community service to get as many references as they can never have too many references. Left-hand side, my favorites. Remember I said to you, anytime you're in MyCareerShines, you can click on the gray star and make it yellow. Here we've got some favorite occupations. I have 15, so I need to narrow those down. You'll see some blank boxes. Click on up to 3 of these blank boxes and you can compare up to 3 occupations side by side. And then you can, at one point, I was thinking about going into computers, but I'm not interested. So now I'm going to go to the left-hand side and I'm going to unfavorite those computer jobs because I'm not interested. You can move those careers up and down based on your favorites. Same thing with schools, my favorite schools. This is probably the area that I like the most. I'm going to look at Ave Maria, I'm going to look at Barry Uni, and I'm going to look at Miami-Dade College. I'm going to do a quick compare. And it allows me to compare up to 3 schools side by side. So I can see the name of the school, I can see whether it's a HBCU, I can see what religious affiliation, I can see the settings. It gives me the opportunity to see how many full-time undergrad students go to that school. So if I want to go to a big school, I can see at a glance that choosing Ave Maria might not be a good fit for me. It even gives me how many total full and part-time students go to that school. It lets me see the demographic makeup of the student population, but most importantly, look at this. And when I show this in the classroom, I usually get, oh my goodness. So I can see at a glance that Ave Maria is $20,000. Barry University is $30,000 and Miami-Dade College is $2,000. I'm going to go to my favorite, my financial aid source. Here I have 37 scholarships that I have favorited. I can move those up and down based on the due date. My notes, I can create notes. I can print out the scholarship details, but if I don't want to print out the scholarship details, if I don't want to waste paper, I can make a note of the scholarships and the date that I've applied. Left-hand side, my documents. I can upload all my certificates, all of my awards, all my writing samples right in MyCareerShines. Here I have created goals, so I can look at these goals. I've created a scholarship goal. And I'm calling this, it's a current goal, it's personal. I want to identify 50 scholarships and I've put a date. I did this earlier, so I don't want to add another one because we don't have a lot of time. And then I'm going to apply for 25 of those scholarships by this date. So once your students have completed their assessments, they've explored occupations, explored majors, planned for education, they're looking for a job, they've done their resume, their cover letter, their references, they've uploaded all those certificates, all of those awards, all those writing samples, they will go to my eProfile. If they've got a Twitter account, they'll add that, a LinkedIn. If they've got a personal website, maybe they're in a band, they can put that. Upload that professional photo, go all the way down, save and publish. There's a preview. And here, you'll see my eProfile, which is very similar to my own website, tells me all about myself. I can add more in when I go to eProfile. There's my fancy resume. I can do a quick preview. Here are all the references that I received when I was doing community service. There's my profile, there's my portfolio with all my writing samples, all of my awards, all my certificates. So how will I use an eProfile? You can use an eProfile many different ways. And the one I think of is if you're going for a job, rather than walk into that job with a pack of paperwork, you can walk in with your own website, pull up the website, and everything is right there. If a student is going off to college, don't do what we did with our children. We ended up dragging half the house. Populate my MyCareerShines account, sit down with a counselor, and everything is right there. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my slides and we have a college access package that's an add-on to the MyCareerShines. And this college access package, we call it CAP, allows the students to prepare for exams. They can do a college match, they can apply and track scholarships, and there's a document control. If anybody's interested in this add-on package, you can send me a quick email and we can talk about the CAP program, which is College Access Package. And I can share with you, I can give you a demonstration and tell you what the cost is. Okay, so let me continue. Now, earlier I mentioned the admin side, and the admin, so there are three sides that we've talked about. We've talked about your student side, we've talked about your sample student account, and then I briefly talked about the admin account. Each school has their own admin account, and a primary administrator is your counselor. That counselor can give you access to your particular admin side if you would like to. Pull real-time data on your students, pull accountability reports for your students. We have communication tools, and we have lesson plans and curriculum. So you don't have to develop lesson plans and curriculum. Now, what if, let me go to, what if you said, Ms. Crutchley, I don't want to see all of those reports, but I would like to have the lesson plans and the worksheets. I don't care about reports, but I do want the lesson plans. Let me share with you how I can give you access to my school. I've got a fake school with all of the resources and no students. So let's do this. I'm going to ask you to log out. I'm going to ask you to log out, top right-hand side. And then we're going to go to log in. And I'm going to give you my admin credentials for my Shell admin account. This is not your admin account. It doesn't have any students. It's my Shell admin account that allows you to pull off the lesson plans and the worksheets from an admin side with no students. All right. So how did I get there? Let me show you again. MyCareerShines.cuda.com. This time you're going to log in as an administrator, and the login is Florida sample, no space, and then the password is Florida. Put and then the password is Florida. Now, once you click in, you will see a dashboard for an admin side. If you go to Tools and Resources, I'm going to give you Tools and Resources, you will see Curriculum Resources. If you click on Lesson Plans, and here are the middle school, but here are the high school. Here's a teacher guide. And you can use all of this. You can use as little as you need, or you can add to this teacher guide. And then here is the student worksheet. Again, you can add to this. You can take it away, take some away. But this is a great starting point for you. All right, let me just go back to Tools and Resources. Here we have some products. Here's a Navigator Flyer for you. You can print that out. Oh, there's the quick guide that I mentioned earlier. And there's the inside. And again, it tells you step by step, you're going to take that assessment, you're going to begin to explore, plan for education. I'm just looking at this time. All right. And we've got some tutorial videos on there, and there are some on YouTube too. So let me go back to my slides. I want to be respectful of your time. All right. And I will stay on the line. I'm not going to rush off for those people that are, particularly for those people that are new. All right. The company that I work for offers a CAT training, C-A-T, Career Advisor Training. And we have two courses. We have an essential, it's a 10-hour online course. If anybody's interested, they can send me an email. And then we have a 30-hour online course that allows you to be certified as a career advisor. The essentials course is $99. And the advanced is $749. Questions for me? Any questions for me? Let me give you my contact information. Oh, thank you, Lisa. It feels, you know, just having an hour and a half, when you're used to 3 hours, it really does feel like it's very rushed, but that's a lovely compliment. Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording.